The sikha we will be learning today is in the Sichas Gimel, the second sikha to Parsha Shlach. Shingeret film old Rebbe says, I spoke many times as Rasha bePirusha la Torah, that Rasha in his commentary at the Torah stellt sich op if jeder Inyan was schwer oder fordert bir in Pshuto shel Mikra. That Rasha comments and anything that is not understood or needs an explanation according to simple pshat. In other words, Rasha wrote his commentary al derech hapshat. There are certain remozim and hints and halachas and things. Rasha writes clearly, I wrote my pirush to explain pshute shel mikra, simple pshat. And therefore, Rasha, so to speak, took upon himself that any posik that is not clear in pshute shel mikra, I come to answer the question. Und wer Rasha hat nicht as boref anini b'pshute shel mikra, and if Rasha has a question, a simple pshat, but doesn't have an explanation how to answer it, schreibt eine Idee. He writes, I don't know. A few times the Rebbe Nora one writes, brings from he quotes, where Rasha writes any Idee, I don't know. And from that fact that Rasha writes sometimes I don't know, is a raya that Rasha is trying to answer every question that is not understood in Pshuto shel Mikra, simple pshat. Because if Rasha Lechatchila would not go to answer every question, so why does he have to write, I don't know? Don't answer the question. You don't answer many questions. So the fact that whenever he doesn't know, he writes, I don't know, means that everything place else, he does know. And therefore, when we find something not understood, something hard to understand, in the pshat, in the simple meaning of the psukim, when Rasha stellt sich nicht up of them, and Rasha doesn't comment on it, we have to say, that according to simple pshat, if you learn the psukim and you are medayik, you go into the simple pshat, you'll see that it's not a question. That's why Rasha doesn't have to answer it. While al derech pshat is a move me'atzmi, because according to the simple pshat, you understand it by yourself. Or it's answered based on something else that Rasha wrote before. Something that Rasha writes later, you can't say he relies on that. But if something he wrote before, and that will explain pshat here, Rasha would not write anything here because he hopes that you remember what he wrote before, and he doesn't have to answer it. According to this rule, you have to understand in this week's parsha, which is Parsha Shlach, there is something not understood, something hard to understand in the simple meaning of the psukim, which is something that's in Yiddish, we say means it open up right in your eyes. As soon as you learn it, you see right away the problem. And we don't see Rasha answers it. And the Rebbe Nora 3 says, other Meforshim do explain it. So we see they also expect this, they also assume that they understand this is a kasha. And it's a kasha in pshat. So why doesn't Rasha answer it? And we must say, the Rebbe will say that it's understood based on the wording of the pasuk. And if you think about it, put your mind to it. And as the Rebbe said many times, Rasha is written in such a way that it's good for people who have a straight mind. Rasha is the same letters as Yosher. If you have a gleichekop, a straight mind, a straight head, and you will look the psukim and you'll be medayik in every word, you will understand it by yourself. What is the question? Note with the Meraglim of Zichum Gekert Matura orders after the Meraglim came back from spying the land and Hom Gezokten, they said, we're not able to go up to this nation to fight this nation over there because he is stronger. It means the nation, the Goyim and Eretz Yisrael are stronger than us. Und die Eden haben nicht gewollt gehen to Eretz Yisrael, and that's because of that the Eden didn't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. The Rabbi Hashem said these words: "Akenu badever, I'm going to hit them with a plague. Ve'irishenu, I'll destroy them. Ve'esa eischel gegodel." Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, and I'll make you into a big nation. Ve'otzum memendik, bigger and stronger than them. So the Rabbi told Moshe right away, I'm going to kill all the Eden. Then what Moshe gesagt, Moshe said to Moshe to the Rabbi, how could you do that? V'shomim Mitzrayim, the Egyptians will hear that you took out with your strength this nation from amongst you, took them out of Mitzrayim. Now you're going to kill this whole nation like one person. You know what the Goyim are going to say, the nations are going to say? That Hashem doesn't have the power to bring this nation into the land he swore to them. Therefore, he slaughtered them, he shechted them in the desert. And that's the kind of Moshe why the Eibusha shouldn't kill the Eden. It's a ganz nicht verstandig, it's not understood at all. And the Rebbe brings in the Torah 7 that it's the Rabbi Barbanel asks it and the Rabbi Machai asks it. What's the question? Wie kommt es, how is it possible? Was wegen der Minye von Akenne, gehen wir Arishene, gehen von Ali, and when it comes to the Eibusha, they're saying he's going to destroy all the Yidden, meaning Shishim Ribui, 600,000 Yidden, Levad Hanoshim V'ata, besides the women, Sharat counted in the number 600,000, and the children. Also people, men, adults who are under 20 or over 60. You know how many people? There's 2.5 million, maybe 3 million people. So when the Eibush said, I'm going to destroy them, the Meisha didn't express a complaint. How could you do such a thing? How could you kill all these Eden? With a ganze tiny given nor, the whole complaint was that the Goyim are going to say that Hashem doesn't have the power to do this. That's all that's the bother to him. Yet the Reine versteht. I feel like everyone understands, even a child. And the Rebbe usually says that even a child, because Rashi is written even for a child. Rashi is pshat, and a child of 5 starts learning Chumash. It says in Pirkei Avos, Rashi wrote this Pirush even for a child of 5. Doesn't learn Gemara yet, doesn't know anything yet, but he learns the psukim. And if it's a good child and understands, Rashi wrote this Pirush for him. So if there's something that a child wouldn't understand, maybe Rashi doesn't go according to that. But this is something even a child understands. Der Umkuf and Azefil mentioned that the destruction of so many people, that afila boser vadom only in nasach mer vidos vasandere will sagen him. So even by a human being, it'll affect him more than the fact what will people say about him, what will others say about him. Certainly, we're talking about Hashem, not some a person. And concerning creation, that the Eibishter himself created them. And the Rebbe brings the order 9, and it says when the Eibishter was going to bring a Mabul, so Rasha says on the Poseh, that Hashem felt bad. The Eibishter himself felt sad that he's going to destroy something he made. So we see the Eibishter doesn't just destroy. So here we're talking about that the Eibishter said he'll destroy all the Eden. So destroy so many people for sure will bother everybody. Certainly the Eibishter. Certainly when it talks about something that he himself made. But certainly when it talks about Eden that are considered, as the Pasuk says, children to Hashem. He took him out of Mitzrayim. He chosen for a treasured nation. So you can imagine what terrible thing this is. And here comes Moshe Rabbeinu. Besides there was ungefähr the Eden bis ahead, who led the Eden till now. There was he was the one that sacrificed his life, was giving up his life for the Eden. As he said, if you don't save the Eden, he said, erase me from your sefer. This he said earlier by the Egel, but still, he's a person that gave up of himself his life for the Eden. Not gebet nemebish. That was by the Egel in Parsha Gesisa. He also, when it came to something that we learned about in Parshas Bahaleischo, Hashem was also going to hurt the Eden. So Moshe said, "Horig hagein nahorig, kill me. I shouldn't see the bad that's done." And even though it says bera'asi, what's bad that's done to be, so Rasha says, the order 13 the Rebbe brings from Rasha, that Rasha said that he meant from the Eden, that he didn't want to use the Lashon. The Lashon was changed. It means my bad, but he meant, I don't want to see something bad being done to the Eden. So kill me better than that. So here we see he was Meiser Nefesh, gave up his life for the Eden. So now when the Eibush is saying, I'm going to hit them with a plague, I'll destroy them, I'll make you for a great nation. Montenit, he's not asking, not complaining, how could you, what does it mean? How could this possibly, you'll destroy the old Klal Yisrael? Seine Kinder, his children, B'nai B'cheire Yisrael, the firstborn child, God forbid. The is what is the main time of Moshe? That if you do that, the Goyim, the nations will say, Hashem. That Hashem doesn't have the power. That's going to bother him. Even though it makes sense, the Taina. The Taina doesn't make sense. It makes sense because he's saying, but you're going to cause a Chil Hashem. That if people might think, the Goyim might think that you have no power to take the Eden in. So we understand why Moshe would use that as a Taina. But first and foremost, he should have asked, how could you do such a thing? How could you destroy the Eden? And then you could add, that too. It's also a time that you'll cause that there'll be a Chil Hashem. But why didn't he mention that all the time that how could you do this to destroy the Eden? And to prove this, a proof, and to enforce, showing that this kasha is a good kasha, we find by the sin of the golden calf of the Egel. We can look over there when the Eibishter wanted to destroy the Eden there too. So there you look. So Malamesh, not Meshach. The first Meshach said, Loma Hashem yechrab chabamecha asher etzeiso mieretz Mitzrayim v'cheyach godel b'yot chazoka. Why are you angry at the Eden, at them? You took them out of Mitzrayim with such strength, b'yot chazoka, strong hand. As the no choter meisig, and just then afterwards he said, Loma yemer Mitzrayim lemer. Why should the Mitzrayim, the Egyptians, say that you took them out lechatchil in order to kill them? That was the second time. Even though this is not exactly the same time as here. The Rebbe in Order 18 says, by the Chet Egel, he was saying that what Goyim will speak against the Yidden, that the Chatchila took the Yidden out to kill him. Here he's talking about the covenant of the Eibishter, that they'll say that you have no power to do it. But the idea is that first he spoke about the Etzem Zach. How could you do such a thing? Then he went in that what will this cause that the Goyim will say. So the Kasha is, how come here he didn't do that? Nochmer is not verstanden. It's not understood even more. Not only the question is Moshe Rabbeinu, why was that his time and not the thing itself? We see that specifically this time, this complaint, the kind of Omra game, what will the Goyim say? That causes Hashem to forgive the Eden and listen to Moshe Rabbeinu. Und der Bittel Gzeire bepeilt, that caused the nullification of this decree. The Rasha Rasha says on the word when Hashem said, I forgive Kidvorecha, like you said. So Rasha makes it very clear. Kidvorecha means Bishvil Mashomarto Mebilti Chelos Hashem. The reason I'm not killing them, listening to you, because of what you said. What did you say? That if I kill them now, what will the Goyim say? Und is Mavayer, and he says, Shmi b'magei that the word is that my name, David is saying, should not be desecrated with this Magefa. That's what he said with this plague. Leimer, that they will be saying, Hashem doesn't have the power, to bring them to Israel. I shouldn't kill them suddenly, like one person at one time. It'll take 40 years slowly they will die. But the reason he says, Rasha says that David said, why am I doing this and not killing him right away? Because of what you said, that the Goyim will use it and say that I don't have the power. So the kasha is not only on Moshe Rabbeinu, the kasha is that by the Eibush that this was the most important thing. And we can think that Rasha is also not of them. We don't find Rasha should explain this. Why this is the main taina? Why is the etzem taina that you killed all the Yidden is not a taina that's mentioned? So the Rebbe explains that we'll understand it by first looking, and there's a interesting expression that says in the end of Moshe's words, he says, the Goyim are going to say, etc., etc., and you have no power to bring them to soil, and you shechted them, you slaughtered them, you shechted them in the desert. We don't use such an expression. When you kill a person, you don't say he shechted him. And Order 23, the Rebbe says, even the only place we find is by Yitzchak, we find that one lashon. But when he came and he said, by Yitzchak, not he wanted to share. The word shchita is written there, but normally we don't find that lashon. On the frat as Moshe allein not free gesagt, and we see this is not the lashon that's constantly used here. Even here, Moshe himself said to David, if you're going to have a hematos homazeh, you're going to kill this whole nation. So he doesn't use the word shechting; he used the word killing. Und der Eibishter hat gesagt dem lashon akenda b'dever. Eibishter himself didn't use the word I'm going to shech them. Akenda b'dever. I'm going to hit them with a plague. So here, why did Moshe Rabbeinu use the word vayishchotem? That they're going to say that you have no power to bring them in, and you shechted them in the desert. The explanation is with them word chidush in vayishchotem, with this word, which is something new, to say the lashon, the concept of shchita, that movement. From that we understand from first Moshe that you want to get tiny to maybe them. But the Rebishter had gesagt, this explains why Moshe didn't complain concerning what David said, I'm going to destroy them. The question was, that should be the first thing. How could he destroy all the... This will explain when we use the word shchita. The reason for shchita by a Balchai is the concept of shechting, the slaughtering, which you use always by an animal, wie das Verstetigem and Chomesh is something, because what the Rebbe is going to say, we learn a lot in Chassidus about it. But the Rebbe is trying to say this is not only Chassidus, this is even in Pshat, which means even a child of 5 years old that just learning Chumash also will understand this. That what's the end of Shechita? When you shecht an animal, Don't kill an animal. You shecht an animal. He does machshid and balchayas is a roya for Michael that prepares the animal to be fit to be eaten by a person. And actually, as in Torah 26, the Rebbe says, when the brothers of Yosef came to Yosef, and Yosef told his household that they should prepare the food, so it says, "Utveyach tevach v'ochen shecht," and prepare. What do we see? That shechting is all to prepare for eating. Das heißt, it means like this. Tachlis von Shchita is nicht a misa varige. The purpose of shechting is not just to kill. No, verkehrt, the contrary, the opposite. To them kommt so a hecherkeit u'mayli dem machai. This brings something, an elevation to the animal. Killing the animal is something bad for the animal, but this is because you're preparing it for it to eat. Is something that's better for the animal. When we watching the land free by the Akedah, we saw by the Akedah when David told Avram take Yitzchak to the Akedah. Ados was Avram is gegangen Lishchet des Bnei. This is Avram went to Shech the son. He does gewenig zuisfinden dem Tzivi Hashem v'alei Hashem leilo. In order to fulfill the will of Hashem, the commandment of Hashem, to bring him there as a korban. It's a korban kodesh to Meibushin, become a kodesh according to Meibushin. So there we see we use the word shchita because the word shchita represents the concept of doing something that elevates it. The same thing here also. When David just said the word, I'm going to, that here when Moshe uses the word that you're going to shech the Yidden, because what David was ready to do was a concept of shchita. Yasbar in them. What does that mean? The explanation is like this. So you do a moving the pshuta shemikra bekama bekama ksum. We know even a simple pshat in many psukim. The Rebbe is arachon v'chanan. The Rebbe has pity. The Rebbe gives grace and he's good. He has rachmanis. He has pity and compassion. Tachlis hateva chesed is the ultimate level of good and kindness. Nas alle tzivuim what the Rebbe shtot ongezogt zu bnei odem bechlal ba'achas kama v'kama the mitzvahs that don't give them to eat nam's gula. So therefore, all the commandments that the Rebbe gave to people, but generally, certainly the mitzvahs that the Rebbe gave to the Eden who are his precious nation. So I know like it's all for the benefit, for the good of those that were commanded these mitzvahs. To them was mefirzich like Tzivi Hashem by following the commandment of Hashem is a leben be'elam hazev as darf zu sein in gashmis. So the life in this world, even in this world, is proper, is good, even begashmis. In other words, he gave a mitzvah that through mitzvahs, avada beruchnis, you reach high levels. But if you do proper the Eibishter wants, that's only going to bring you good, even begashmis. L'dugma, because for instance, the Torah says in the beginning of B'chokesai, im B'chokesai teleicha v'tzmasveisa d'shmeir, if you go on my statutes and you'll keep my mitzvahs, from the satig ishmeich and bitva, I'll give you rain and all the other brachas. Mit alle brachas that the Torah rechem, all the brachas that the Torah mentions. For them, from that we understand the other side too. As when we fault in the Meibishten Sivuim, if you don't listen to Hashem's commandments, was man is for them meinish that you get punished for that. As the Torah says, that if you don't listen, you'll be punished. Also, is nidik avona the reinish guf. It's not the purpose, is the punishment itself, but they to make them sein chas v'sholim in dimension in order to take revenge of the person who didn't listen, or that him stam b'shtrof stam to punish the person. It's also all for the benefit of the person. And in order 33, the Rebbe brings a few examples, even in Rashi. For instance, by Yosef. Yosef was punished with the many things that happened to him because of the Lashon Hara he spoke to his father against his brothers. And what turned out from it? It was all for the good. By Yikash, it says, Hashem sent me to save you. So we see here physically, in Gashmias, that there was a punishment, which is bad, hurts, but it's all for the purpose of coming out good. And we find that the Rebbe says, in Rashi also, to Klal Yisrael, Golus, concerning Golus Mitzrayim, Rashi says in Vayishlach, that this was a debt that the Yidden had to pay for the payment for the Eibush they gave in the present at Yisrael. So it looks like it's bad for the Yidden, but it's all for the good. They went to Golus Mitzrayim in order to get the land. So we see here examples that even not only the good things, the mitzvahs that you do is for your good, begashmias, also beruchnis and begashmias. But even the punishment is also, as long as it comes from the Eibishter, the punishment is for the good. And the Rebbe explains it. Since he didn't behave fitting to what Hashem wants, was blazed them at only if you follow Hashem's commandment, then you live properly. Physical, spiritual life, and physical life. But this is person, we're talking about a person who's punished because he did not listen. And he transgressed Avedas, befrat Chamuras, certainly if it was strict Avedas. So the fact that he's punished and could be even killed is for his benefit. Because what's going to happen if he still continues living and he didn't behave? So the Eibishter will punish him. In order he should not live with suffering in this world, he might live in such a way that he suffers, and he'll say, why do I need to live? Something's I'm disgusted with my life. So certain times the Eibishter takes away from the person his physical life, but that's not bad. It's for the benefit of the person. Because for my team is only that holds him back, that he should not have to go through a life of hardships in this world. So it's for his benefit. The Rashi already. And again, if it wouldn't be in Rashi, it's hard to say for a child, for a person who just starts. But Rashi already before explained a bigger chidush, something even more. Avram Avinu, Atzadi Gomer, complete tzadi, Yirei Elikim v'chulu, feared Hashem, all the titles we could give him. So Rashi says, Mes Heishonim Kedis Man, he died 5 years before his time. He shouldn't have a life of suffering in this world from knowing what Esav did. So David took him away. So this is all for, he made him die for the benefit of him. So you shouldn't suffer from seeing what Esav did. But in Aveda, we need the Dan, and Aveda, what we're talking about, Kumsu comes even more. Ados, the Rein Shmisa Rachman Islam, is in Mitayr Mezachach. That in this case, the Avedas we're talking about here, that's not only it's because he shouldn't have chayetz, it shouldn't live with Yisurim and knowing what Esav did, but here, by dying, it cleanses him, it purifies him. And the Rebbe brings a Rashi in Parsha B'chokesa where he says it. As al kenen tzukum to the chayim na'il pnei mabo. It purifies him that he should be able to get el mabo. V'seicha ben chamesh hat shengelent v'nechayel mabo in Pirish Rashi. And the concept of chayel mabo, even though it's not mentioned in Chumash, but in Rashi it's mentioned. So the one that's learning Parsha Shlach knows all these Rashis, remembers it. So Rashi already mentioned many times that there's such a thing as chayel mabo. Rashi in the Rebbe in Order 37 brings different Rashis. So we understand that if David would have killed his Yidden, it would have been for their benefit. Now we understand, considering the Aveda that the Yidden did in Parshas Shlach. And we'll understand why Moshe didn't stress the idea, the complaint, how could you just kill the Yidden? Such a terrible thing to do. Like you did by the Egel. But the Egel he did it, but here not. Why? Schas die haben gesehen Bechet Egel und die sind mit der Chet Egel hat Moshe mispal given to the Meibishn so they should daven taka to the Meibishter that he shouldn't do it. Lo ma Hashem yachrab chaba mechash et seis emet Mitzrayim. Why should Hashem? Why should you be angry at your nation that you took out of Mitzrayim with Keil Godel? What does it mean? Why kill them? So he did complain. Why kill them? Not like here. Why? Say kennen doch kennen zum Meibishn Tshuvaton, because it's not. He's saying it might be for their benefit. But there's a better way. Let them continue living till the tshuva. The reason we would take them away from this world, that's for their benefit. They shouldn't get punished in this world and live a life of suffering, but let them live. Why kill them? Let them live and they could do tshuva. Let us mechapra sein. This will forgive. So their life from now on in this world, they should stay in this world, will be as it's supposed to. Won't be life of suffering. They will start listening to Hashem, they'll do tshuva. So that's what Moshe said. So the first thing he said, don't do it. It's not, how could you do such a thing? Even though we know that it's going to be for their benefit, but there's a better benefit. The benefit, they shouldn't stay living, they shouldn't suffer. Let them stay living, they still won't suffer. They'll do tshuva. Shenkin do, but here, the sin of the Meraglim, what the Rebbe said was, he didn't say, I'm doing it for this Aveda. He said, how long will they get me? For how long will they go to get me angry? And how long will it be that they will not believe in me? In all the miracles I did inside for them. What's in them is mutkish. By this statement, what David is trying to stress is like this. Number one, it's not something that happened once, like this Naveda happened. Nor there only Atzuni Zech, I can say that that he said Adonim till when means there's so much you were getting me angry. So how much more will you have to get me angry? He says, there's so many times they did it already, and they didn't change for the good. After all the previous Aveda. So this is really different. So here, to ask the Eibush to let them live so they'll do tshuva. So like the Eibush is saying, is going so long, and they haven't done tshuva. And second thing, this is Hashem. So that's the first word. How long will they get me angry? The second part was, how long will they not believe me, in me? That's another point here. It's not just being over on the commandment of Hashem. That affects a fundamental thing, the main concepts of Amunah. Adonai le yaminu bi. How long will they not believe in me? This movement, when it's something that goes on and they didn't never change already, and it's something with Amunah. He's moving for that. We understand that. In them followed Moshe, it was the Bet and Sadid and Gufa. So Moshe has no reason to ask that Eibusher should spare them just because of the Yidden. How could he do that? Because Hashem's saying I will destroy them is it's not just a punishment. Here, when we don't expect them to do tshuva, so then there's no other choice. For their benefit is to kill them. So let them die, so they will not suffer in this world, and they will also go to the world to come. Tinal Baruch has been said. That's why Moshe used the word, and you're going to slaughter them. It's not killing them. The Raniniya for Shchita is the concept of Shchita, was Oltevas and Nishchat. It's for the good, like we said before, even when you shecht an animal, it's for the benefit of that animal that you're shechting. Here, also, you're going to shecht them. So he mentioned that he understands why you will do it and not spare them, because it's what you're going to be doing will be like Shchita. Shchita means you're taking it from one level from one domain to another. See, in order 41 started, the Rebbe says there's a mind. The Gemara says, "Ein v'shochad elo Moshe Chassidus bring this." But wherever it says v'shochad, the Gemara means something else, that it means to bring it. But Chassidus uses that lashon that v'shochad means you mamshich it, you bring it to you pick it up, you bring it. But here the Rebbe is making it only as a remez. That's not the yisod of Rashi. But as a remez that shchita means, like we said before in Pshat, to do a favor to the one you're shechting. So here also, you're taking him to a different domain, and you elevate him to a higher life, that the neshama will live continually. So the words by Yeshchotem answers why Moshe Rabbeinu did not stress the point, why would you kill them? Because it's for the good of them, and there's no other way, so to speak, because there's so many times, and it's such a terrible thing. That's why Moshe didn't say anything. The only thing he said, as we'll see, is the Goyim will say. Then the Rebbe says, Moshe Steiners over given. So what? Oh, what I just said now. So it says it wasn't the Taina. How could you kill him? But the Taina was Vibal does it given that had their Amunah. Since the whole problem is here that they're not believing you, they're not having Amunah. Dos was aminu be that they're not believing in me. In spite of all the miracles I did to them, because of all the miracles I did, they should believe that I'm able to keep my promise. He didn't stop believing that Eibusher could keep his promise. He promised to take him to Yisrael, and he says, and now they stop believing. They said, no, we can't go. The Merakim said, we can't go. So that's what Moshe Stein is. The whole reason why you want to kill him is because they don't have the Amunah. So what's the pshat? What are you going to do instead? So because of that, you're going to kill them all like one. What is this idea behind it? Know what that's going to cause? The concept of not believing in you. You're saying the Yidden don't believe you, so they deserve to die. You know what you're going to do? Whatever you're going to do, by killing them, you're going to make that the Mitzrayim will not believe him. But the Mitzrayim, as Moshe Rabbeinu used the lotion, that you took out the Yidden from Mitzrayim, from them amongst the Mitzrayim, and they're going to say, no, you can't do it. And Goyim will hear about it. What are they going to say? That Eibusher has no power to take him there. They will say Hashem can't keep his promise, which is Shvose, his Shvua. The says it means like this. That how is it possible, Moshe was saying to the Eibusher, that by killing them, so by and the whole purpose is to challenge the lack of Amunah by the Yidden. At the same time, by doing that, what will happen? You'll get them and you'll cause Number one, heder emunah by dumas, that the nations will not have emunah. They will say you don't have the power. Or the heder ashmi vakim from the tzivoy Hashem, but the umas ein sein stabe geworden. And automatically, if they will stop believing in Hashem, then they'll stop doing the mitzvahs that the goyim have to do. So you're defeating the purpose. The whole purpose is because they have a problem and a lack of emunah. B'meila, and there's no way you don't think they'll do tshuva. B'meila, the only way is to kill them because they're a lack of emunah. And by killing them, you're going to cause a lack of emunah by the mitzvah, and they won't do the mitzvahs either. And b'meila, that's the taina. So the taina, why you're killing them, just itself is no taina because he's doing it in the form of shchita. The taina is it doesn't make sense to do it because it's going to cause the same problem that you want trying to fix is going to be caused there by the goyim. But the Rebbe said, we can have a frag, but you could ask a shaila on this pshat. The loshon vayishchotem, and this loshon that Moshe used, and you shechted them, is not from the reid was Moshe allein gesagt. It's not that things that Moshe himself said to Hashem, nor azoktes nadibur was the goyim wollen sagen. He used that term in what the goyim will say. He said like this: V'omra goyim, the goyim are going to say, mi bilti yecheles Hashem. Hashem doesn't have the power to take him out. Therefore, vayishchotem mishechten him. That's what the goyim are saying. But according to what the goyim think, they think that why did he do it? Because he has no power. They don't know, as far as they're thinking, if they would know that this for the Teva of the Eden, then they wouldn't say they wish they can't do it. They'll understand why he's doing it. They won't understand why he's doing it. The real thing. So what will they think? That Davish is doing it because he doesn't have the power. So it's not because the Eden's Averis and it's for their benefit. Bedugmas in Ashchitas is on Zayn Muchel Chayil, but like Shchita that you elevate them, they should be ready for Elam Abo. Though the Farbos and Bilti Chelas Hashem, they're going to look at it that it's because Hashem has no power. Uke Loshe Rasha, like Rasha says, Uke Sheyishmu Sha'ato Hergam. Rasha says, if they'll hear, when they will hear that you killed them, here he uses the word kill them. They won't say because they sin to you. They'll say only that against the Mitzrayim, the Egyptians, you had power to fight. But against the nations of the Eretz Yisrael, you don't have the power. So they don't know this concept of Yishchotim. So why does Moshe Rabbeinu say the word by Yishchotim, which shows that there's a reason, a good reason why he would kill them, in the words of the Mitzrayim, when the Mitzrayim won't know that, they won't know there's a good reason. So why does he use there? The Pasha Yishleimer, so normally you could Pasha, simply you could say, Moshe does Gezog B'teich de Buram, Moshe said that within the words of what the Mitzrayim will say, so Meramzain to hint to us, why it's important to teach us, tell us, explain to us why it's important to take in consideration what the Goyim will say. Since killing them is good, is like Shchita, which is for their benefit, as only found the Emunah B'Hashem by Yidden, that Yidden shouldn't have lack the Emunah, Pastach nicht, as von dem Guf is la Rushkom an Yidden von Hepech HaTev, Hepech HaMun Cheles Hashem Vadumas Kanal. It doesn't make sense that you'll do it to help the Emunah by Yidden, and it'll cause the opposite of Emunah by the Goyim. So that's why Moshe put it in the words by Yishchotim in the Goyim Steine. That by putting it in the Goyim Steine, he's saying that since the real reason is by Yishchotim and they don't know it, so it'll cause a chil Hashem. So this is almost like saying the reason Moshe is answering why he did not complain about killing the Eden. So he's saying, the depth of the time of Moshe is, why would you kill them in order to fix the emunah? So he put in the word by Yishchotim that shows that it's because to fix the emunah into the time of the Goyim. Not what the Goyim will say, but it's in the time of the Goyim to the Eibush saying that the Goyim will taina that you don't have the kayach, and that's the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish with Vayishchotim, what you said. This is not enough for them. Nevertheless, it would have been better, but would fit more as sagen dem Losh Vayishchotim in seine eigene Reizem, that he should have used the word Vayishchotim in his own words to Hashem. And when he says what the Goyim will say, he should have said the word kill. Them goof is muchel from that the Moshe Rabbeinu used the words by Yishchotim in the words of the Goyim proves as Moshe the meat make like this. Moshe meant this. The Goyim will forget the Goyim will also understand that it's a concept of Shchita, which is Lotevas Bnei Yisrael for the benefit of the Eden. When Nafal became when they sagen Bilti Chelas Hashem, they still will complain and say it's because the Eibush doesn't have the power. How is it? And the Tambaze is mutkish in them was the posting is matkish by Yishchotim by Midbar. The reason behind it, the logic behind it is hinted in the word by Midbar. they will say you shechted them, knowing what it means that you shechted them. It was for their benefit, would be for their benefit, but they would add the word bamidbar. They did it in the desert. What is the pshat? Or the pshat is like this. When Moshe went into at length, saying that the nations will say that they heard that Hashem is there, is amongst the Eden, and Ayin Bayin Nir and the Eden were able to see eye to eye with the Eibishter. By going into all these details, that brings out the umis vesen wegen gate lachibe from the Eibishter to Eden. Rasha says it in connection to what the Goyim will say. So Rasha says the milas of the Eden. He says it in what the Goyim means. And Rasha adds, and they don't know, they didn't recognize that the love that you had to them was taken away. So that shows that the Goyim do know what it is, the connection of Yidden to the Eibishter. And they will understand that what you would do is only for their benefit. When I say, I'm bringing Yidden to Eretz Yisrael, and they know of the promise, this the oath that they made to bring the Eden to Israel. Like it says in Hemshel this is what Moshe was saying. Knowing the Goyim, knowing the great love the Eibishter has to the Eden, and the promise he made to take him to Israel. That says by the Umas oplegen. So what will come into the mind of the Goyim? As I feel of an Eden, let's think like this. We understand that the Eibishter would be doing it for their favor, and that's why he will only shech them, not kill them. He will shech them. But they also know that the Eibishter promised to take them to Eretz Yisrael. So they would think like this. Well, the Eibishter after I'm bringing Lechem Eretz Yisrael. The Eibishter should have kept his promise. They deserve to die, true. And it will be for their benefit. They knew that. They understood that. But first, you should bring him to Eretz Yisrael. Yes, as the Chatchila was set up. And it says, the Rebbe in Order 51 says that Asher Baleischa says they were almost about to go to Eretz Yisrael in Parshat Baleischa. So they should have first taken to Eretz Yisrael, if to Mekayim sein Shvur, to keep his promise. And nor the Knesset beoretz der erkennen b'dever beit me'eshchotem. Then when they're in Eretz Yisrael, you keep your promise, then you're trying to do and they understand you're trying to do a favor even by killing them then. But if you're going to kill them all at the same time, will be happening in the desert, then the Goyim will say, why didn't they take him in? So there's two things here. Number one, why did they kill him? That they won't say. They'll understand. Just like Moshe didn't complain, they'll also understand they would kill him. But why kill him now? Why not kill him after Eretz Yisrael? So they'll say, the killing them is a good thing. It's like shchita. Everything is in the form of love. But those for the Zachas for you come by Midban, it's nicht reingebracht in Eretz Yisrael, but that you're doing this in the desert, not taking Eretz Yisrael first, is weil mobility Chelas Hashem lohovi yisam azel loras Hashem nishbelem. They will say because you don't have the power to bring him into Eretz Yisrael that you promised. That's what he said. So that's why the word Vayishchotim is written in their words. They would say, we know it's Vayishchotim, we know it's for, but why didn't you bring him into Eretz Yisrael? And then do the Vayishchotim. Now it's B because you don't have the power, and that was Moshe Rabbeinu's time. So now the Rebbe says, Al Pia Nal Kum Tuis, based on what we said till now comes out, as the Rakene Bedever from the Ramidbers, I van Yishchotim. So besides the details of the discussion, Moshe Rabbeinu, Eibishter, all that, but the Vayla we saw according to the Pshat that the Rebbe said before, that when Eibishter wanted to kill the Eden, he didn't want to just kill him, he wanted to do the Shchite. This would be a preparation for their benefit, for the life they will have in Elam Haba. And for them is moving with Mekolishken. So we understand with the Kal V'chemer, as Azay does given Kishibol Lepel. In them was he's given Akena Meshach Devarim Shona. So now Lepel, he didn't kill him Ke'echad, like one person. But he did kill them all, slowly. So if the purpose of killing them all together would have been for their Teva, certainly when he didn't kill them all together and let them live, they lived till 60, each one lived till 60, and throughout the years they died, certainly it was also for the same purpose for the Teva of the Eden. Now, so that's the way it comes out from the way we learn Pshat and Rashi. This fits to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer in Gemara Sanhedrin in the Mishnah. The people from the desert, the people that died in the desert throughout the 40 years, will have Elam Haba. They're going to have Tchis HaMesim. They're going to get up the Neshama in the body, which is an argument there. And Rabbi Eliezer holds that they will go, and that's what it seems like from according to the pshat before, that this is all for their favor in order to get the Elam Haba. So we passed. So it comes out like a Rabbi Lazar that they will get the Elam Haba. So they moving from Kaman became a Zeir. We understand. So from different places into Zeir. It says in Medish and Zeir, Adosi the Tam, that this is the reason for was Moshe nicht rein in Eretz Yisrael and is geblieben in Midbar. That's why Moshe didn't enter Eretz Yisrael. He remained in the Midbar. In order for Moshe to be together with the Deira Midbar, all the people of his generation, and he will get up with them to Tchias HaMeisim, and he will go into Eretz Yisrael together with them, Losid Lovi, in the future. So we see in Zeir that we accept Rebbe Lazar's Shita. And it fits to what he said before in according to Pshat, that it's all by Yishchotim, that killing, wanting to kill them all together. Certainly the killing slowly, but the dying is all for their favor to get Elam Haba. When the klal is, in Gemara, we find an argument. But the rule is, as Vuas is do a machlekes in Nigla the Teire, when there's a machlekes in Nigla, an argument, amongst opinions, paskim when we state by God, the Zeir Keitz, we paskim that says in Agadat, in Zeir. Normally we don't paskim from Zeir. But if there are two opinions, if the Gemara says one way and Zeir says the opposite, we pass like the Gemara. But if in Gemara it's not clear, in the Gemara there are two opinions, and Zeir has one opinion, then we do pass like the Zeir or like the Medish, etc. But Frat has been eaten down. Certainly in this case, is for the Gemara, Gufa Mashmas, the Aloch Rebbe Lazar. From the Gemara itself, it seems like the Aloch is like Rebbe Lazar, besides the fact that from Tosfos it comes out, the Rebbe says in the orders, from the Gemara itself, that we pass like Rebbe Lazar. But the Gemara brings up Rebbe Akiva. Rebbe Akiva said that they will not have Leil Mabo. And the Gemara says, Kiva was halt as Elam Chelik Olam, but they don't have, the Gemara like says like a criticism. Shov Kor Rabbi Kiva l'chsidus. Rabbi Kiva was a chosid. Chosid is kind. He would always find kind words and try to always find a schus, a merit for everything. And here, when he said that they will not have Elam, the Gemara criticizes it. So we see the Gemara feels really that we should hold that they get Elam. So this fits to what we said before, that the Deira Midbar does get Elam. Now, then, based on what we said before, what we said before concerning the punishments of Torah generally, and what the word Veishchotim here means, his movement comes out from here as nit nor the Deira Midbar b'chal yasham chel. But the Rebbe is going to explain something new. Till now, we're speaking about the Deira Midbar, the whole all 600,000 Yidden who were the generation of the Midbar. What the Eibishter wanted to do to them, wanted to kill them. It was all for their benefit to have Elam Haba, and they taka will eventually have Elam Haba. But we're not talking about the Meraglim, the 10 Meraglim themselves. But the Rebbe says, what I'm going to show you is that just like we said, that comes out that the people from that generation who died throughout this 40 years in the desert, will have Elam Haba, is not only by them. Nor eich the Meraglim allein, the Meraglim themselves. So zeyam gat zeirei nish gleich vayimusa anoshem mitzvah di besora zero b'magei f'tnei Hashem. They had their punishment on the spot. And it says in Pasuk, they died, those that said the bad Lashon Hara against Eretz Yisrael, they died in the plague for Hashem. They also have Machelik Leil Haba. They also have the Cheil Haba. Mochoch, as in the Mishnah in Bavli, even though in Gemara by Yossi Bavli, state as Meraglim Ein Machelik Haba, the Meraglim don't have. Shnemer, like it says by Yemusu, and it says by Magefa, it says they died in Magefa. Two words. By Yemusu means in Elam Hazeh, they died in this world. And the word by Magefa in a plague means also Leil Haba. So it comes out from the Gemara that the Meraglim will not have Elam Haba, the 10 Meraglim. He's over Mashme in Zeir. In Zeir, it seems, as Eich, Zeir Machelik Leil Haba. And even though they have a Chelik Leil Haba. Now, if it says that way in Zeir, so we know like this. In Bavli's Ashmanat, as we said before, there was an argument between Gemara and Zeir. We pass like the Gemara. But here, the case is, in any way it's possible to explain the Gemara, it should not contradict the Zeir, then we do that. And here it's like that. That even in Bavli, when it says in the Mishnah that Meraglim themselves don't have a Chelik Mabo, is not just according to everybody. It's not a Stam Mishnah that this is when the Mishnah says without a name, that's the halacha. The dos was Rebbe Lozer zogt aleimim. Rebbe Lozer says after he says that the Deir HaMidbar, the generation, the people from the Midbar that died in the Midbar, will have a Mabo. He quotes a posik. The posik says, "Israeli Chasidai, I will gather my Chassidim, my great people, those that made a covenant by the Karbonis." And the Rebbe will bring exactly what those means. So he says it, Rebbe Lozer says it, considering Deir HaMidbar. But a line before that, it says without a name that the Meraglim don't have a Chelik Mabo. And then Rebbe Lozer says that Deir HaMidbar does have, and there's a machlekes, and he says it does. So the Rebbe learns pshat that when he says that they do have, because the Pasuk says, Isveli Chasida Keres Bris Al Yizovach, but Tzitzich Nit nor of the front of them. It goes not only on what he said a minute, right, the line before that, concerning the people of the desert, the people of those 40 years. Nor Echav Lifnif, and also on a few words before that, Meraglim Elam Mechelik Mabo, that the Meraglim don't have a chelik. So the Mishnah says, Meraglim don't have a chelik Mabo. Rabbi Lozer says that the Deir Midbar does, and he quotes this Pasuk. So the Rebbe learns that when he said that, he's also arguing against the opinion before that says that Meraglim don't have a Mabo. That means he also, even the Meraglim themselves have a chelik Mabo. So this is understood from the meaning of the Pasuk that he brings. What is the Pasuk? The Pasuk he brought concerning the Deir Midbar. And the Rebbe says, but when you learn the Pasuk and you understand what he's saying, it's self-understood that it goes on the Deir and the Meraglim themselves. What is the Pasuk? Israeli Chasid al Bris al Zevach. Gather me my Chasidim, those that made the Bris al Zevach. What's meant? What does that mean? Meant means, like the Rash explains, Shekorsu Bris shel Mokim al Yizvochim Shlomim. That these are people that made the covenant with Hashem when they brought korbanos. The Ksiv, like it says by Matan Torah, by Yizbuchos Vochim Shlomim, that they brought korbanos. That he sprinkled from the korbanos on the people. And he said, here's the blood from the covenant. So when he brings the covenant, it means the covenant that was made by Matan Torah. Now, if you're talking that this means that everybody was by that covenant will get El Mabo, was the Meraglim sind given zwischen die was Korsu Brishon Mokim B'Shas Matan Torah. Meraglim were also there, and they also made a covenant. When he says because of this pasuk shows that even as long as you made a covenant with Hashem, you'll get the El Mabo. So it goes on the Meraglim too, not only on the other people who died. But even though the sin of the Meraglim was much worse and much more strict, severe than the sin of the general Deir Midbar, but since there was a bris, a covenant made with who? With all the Eden, including the Meraglim. And what's the concept of a covenant? So the Rebbe quotes here from the Likutei Torah and Torah Eir. Well, the Rebbe says the union of making a covenant is like this: like two friends make a covenant between themselves, a treaty, that their love should not ever stop. Why would they do that? Because they're afraid. Maybe whatever the reason that made them be friends will not be there anymore. The ava will be bottled. Like the krisis abris, when they make the bris through this covenant that we make, so the love will be an eternal love. So if that's what the bris is moving from that we understand that even if you come to a situation where you're not the way you should be, the Ava should have stopped. Not only that, not only shouldn't love each other, it should hate each other. That's what the Meraglim did. They did such a thing that deserved that they should be hated. Leib the Ava zwischen the Keres Abris mit derselben Teke wie B'Shas Abris. The whole idea of Abris is that even if that's the level, but because of the covenant, that love that was there before will not get spoiled because you don't live up to it. That's the whole purpose of the bris. Tishabol bebris veiskashrus, because they came in a covenant in a connection. Kilu nasal basarech, as if they became one. Okay, Chamoshel. The Rebbe says, "Chol Hamoshel Hazeh." Also, Hashem Elokeinu, the Eibush did this. So the bris the Eibush made is no matter how we were, as long as we made that bris, then the Eibush will still love us. So therefore, the Meraglim, they also were part of the bris. So as bad as they are, the Eibush still loves them. The Rebbe says, all this is the heroic. The lesson is, you have to look at every Yid. No matter what the situation is. You look at the Yid and you think he's mamish like the Meraglim. Terrible. You have to look at him that because of his true being, he is one of those of all the Eden who have a share in the world to come. Because he's a branch. David says that every Yid has Elam Abba, because the Pasuk says that every Yid is Neitzer Matoya, is a branch of Hashem's planting. He's the making of my handler, he's spoiled to be proud. Every Yid is like that. If you look at every Yid that way, the worst Yid, you look at it that way. So what do? You get involved with him. To bring out his true being, what is really inside, to bring it out in a revealed way in his daily life. And that causes that all the nations will see that you are Hashem amongst this nation. That you see Yidden see you eye to eye. And Rasha says all but negate what the people will say, and everything is b'derech Hashem in the form of love. It won't recognize that the love will not be taken away. The male help from the goyim recognize it, then they will help every yid and all the yid, the two separate inyonim, every yid separately and all the yid together, whenever they need bees. It says in the Pasuk in Yeshaya that the kings will be our nurses, and the Soris will be the nurses. This will happen even before the end of the Golas. This will hasten the Bias Mashiach, the coming of Mashiach. Mashiach will fix the whole world. This is the Lashon of the Rambam. That they will serve Hashem altogether. Like it says, I will change all the nation to have clear words. They will all call on the name of Hashem over the Shech, and they'll make a Shech. They'll all with one shoulder. They will all serve Hashem.